We are talking the latest Detroit Lions news and rumors. A lot to cover in this video. We're doing draft targets, players who have visited the Detroit Lions, 4 prospects. We're going to go over that list. The latest Lions news. Calais Campbell is no longer going to be joining the Detroit Lions. He's signed with the Atlanta Falcons. What does it mean for the DT position, free agency, trade, or the draft? And the Lions wide receiver trade targets per Fansided. But before we get into today's video, if you are a Detroit Lions fan, you need to subscribe to this channel. Why is that? Because I talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors, and I have a fun time doing so. Let's get this thing going. Let's go ahead and talk about Calais Campbell. He was an option for the Detroit Lions. We heard the rumors last week regarding the Lions potentially liking him, and Dan Campbell came out yesterday and said, we'd love to get him. Unfortunately, he just signed with the Atlanta Falcons, so he is not an option for Detroit at the defensive tackle position in free agency. I honestly looked at a lot of the free agent defensive tackles, and I got to say, there's not a lot of good there. So if the Lions are looking to an upgrade, it would have to be via trade with a player like Jeffrey Simmons, who I think would be a massive upgrade. You're going to have to give a little bit over there to the Tennessee Titans. You could do an Ed Oliver as well, but I think he's a little bit underwhelming. But probably and most likely, you're going to have to upgrade the defensive tackle position via NFL draft. And there's a lot of players for the Lions to select there to get better at that position. But that's just the way that it is right now with him. Folks, you do me a favor and like this video. That would be freaking great. The more likes we get, the more chance this video gets pushed out there. Are you guys disappointed that we did not get Calais Campbell? Y for yes and N for no. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Let's do Lions visit draft prospects here. The tracker that the Lions have seen so far. A lot of interesting names coming on this list. And you're seeing a lot of offensive line, and I truly do believe that the Detroit Lions probably target offensive line and interior high. I think one that a lot of people like, and I've been talking about on my channel for a while, was Steve Avila, the interior offensive lineman from TCU. I think he's a player the Lions could target in the second round, maybe with pick 48, or if they get a little bit closer up there. That is a position they need to get better. They've met with him. They've spoke with him multiple times. He is an absolute target for sure. And there's other ones you can look at too. Chandler, Zavila, Antonio Mafi, Jordan. You got Mark Evans. So the Lions are looking at offensive line, and if you look at what we have right now, it definitely makes sense. And I tell you what, they're definitely looking at the defensive line. Jalen Carter here as well. We need help on the defensive interior. So look at those names to be specific, big-time options for the Lions. Trenton Simpson, Noah Sewell, and DeMarvin Overshown for linebackers there. I do believe the Lions will take a linebacker high, and you have to keep your eye on Trenton Simpson. They've met with him multiple times, and they really like him. They've been at the pro day, everything. You look at the cornerback position for sure. Emmanuel Forbes pops out there for a second-round option for Detroit. If you're looking for a guy potentially not getting in the first round, that could be an option there. The quarterback position, Anthony Richardson sticks out for sure. I don't think he'll be there at pick 6. So if the Lions were to get him, they'd have to trade up. I don't know if that's going to be an option there. But Aiden O'Connell and Adrian Martinez as well. You're looking at the safety position. Do you really think they're going to get a safety? I don't. It may be developmental in 6th round, but anything like that. They haven't met with a lot of running backs here. Quentin Johnston, Jaron Reed, Ronnie Bell, and Antonio Green. What does that mean to me? The Lions are looking to get wide receiver. Dan Campbell talked about it yesterday. They're looking to get wide receiver. Now, Brad Holmes seemed a little more, we could do developmental, but Dan Campbell was the opposite there, so take a look at that. They did look at 2 tight ends. I'm not too big into it. I don't think they are. And again, the offensive line is a big deal for them. So the Detroit Lions do need a wide receiver. That is for sure. Dan Campbell says they'd like to get that. And Fansided came with 5 receivers the Detroit Lions should trade for. And number 5 on their list was DeAndre Hopkins from the Arizona Cardinals. When you look at DeAndre Hopkins and compared to DJ Chark, it's a little similar here, except for Hopkins only played in 9 games, and he's produced at a much higher level at 64 receptions for 717 yards, 3 touchdowns. So if the Lions were looking to get better at the wide receiver position, trading for Hopkins will do that. He's a little bit older, though, and he is a player that, in all honesty, you're going to have to give up probably a second-round pick to acquire DeAndre Hopkins, and he does have a big cap hit. Again, the Lions do have the money to get a player like a DeAndre Hopkins if they're trying to fit it in for the cap situation. They do have the money. Let me know in the comment section right now. Would you trade for DeAndre Hopkins? Put hell yeah for yes or hell nah for no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As we know, again, wide receiver is a position for the Detroit Lions. They're trying to get better. Another wide receiver that was mentioned on Fansided, who's number 4 on their list here, was Courtland Sutton, wide receiver from the Denver Broncos. Now, I talked about him, I think it was last week I made a video because the rumors came out that the Lions may have reached out for Courtland Sutton. Again, Sean Payton said no to it, that they weren't going to do it, but he is number 4 on their list. He played in 15 games with 64 receptions, 829 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's going to cost a pretty penny, I think, to get a Courtland Sutton, probably a second-round pick as well. He is that prototypical X-wide receiver, and I think he would be great for the Detroit Lions. But again, it's more of pay as well as giving up draft capital, for sure. I think that's what it all comes down to. An interesting wide receiver that was on list, and I haven't heard anything about this in all honesty, so I think this is a dart thrown here by Fansided, but I think it's intriguing, is second-year player Rashad Bateman here. Wide receiver from the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we know they're having issues with Lamar Jackson, and could they look to unload Rashad Bateman? Because he has been, I think, not as good as expected. Last year, he only played in 6 games, 15 receptions for 285 yards and 2 touchdowns. But again, this is 2 years. And so far, he hasn't really played in all the games. 18 games, 61 receptions, 800 yards, 3 touchdowns. He would still be on that rookie contract. He would be very cheap, but you're banking on a player who has an injury history. I think he has a high ceiling. We don't know because he hasn't played that much. It's not going to cost a lot, and I don't know what it would take to get a Rashad Bateman. So this was a thrown for a loop on this one. I don't think it's realistic. I don't think the Lions get Rashad Bateman. I just found that intriguing. But would you sign or try to trade for or sign Rashad Bateman? Y for yes and N for no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The next player on my list, I actually seen a rumor last night on this, and he was number 2 on their list, is Allen Robinson, the wide receiver from the Los Angeles Rams. Again, for whatever reason, every time a Ram player is put on the trade block or talked about the trade block, the Detroit Lions are automatically placed for him, even though Allen Robinson was not part of Brad Holmes. He was a Chicago Bear. What did he do last year? Not impressive. 10 games played, 33 receptions, 339 yards on 3 touchdowns. That's not impressive at all. And he's got a decent size cap. And he's older, in his 30s right now. He is. So, yes, he is the X-wide receiver. He could do that DJ Chark role, but first off, he played in 10 games. Okay, he didn't play well. The connection wasn't there. The yards wasn't there. And he's older. And do you want to take on that money? No, I don't. I'm not going to trade for that. I'm not going to give up even probably a 6th-round pick for that. Why? When I could get a developmental wide receiver in the draft that I think could be better the long-term future. So I don't like this trade for number 2. If they release him, I don't know. Maybe you can do a competition in camp, but I'm not looking to get Mr. Allen Robinson in a trade. The number one player, though, was extremely intriguing to me when I looked at this. I've never seen him again on a trade rumors yet or anything connection, but it was a very interesting option here, and that's from the Indianapolis Colts going for Michael Pittman, the wide receiver over there. And you say, who in the hell is Michael Pittman? Well, he's not that old, folks. Just a couple years in the league here. Last year, he played in 16 games, 99 receptions for 925 yards and 4 touchdowns. Career-wise, again, he's only 3 years, 46 games, 227 receptions, 2,510 yards, 11 touchdowns. Man, I think he would be actually perfect for the Detroit Lions as that X-wide receiver. Absolutely no doubt about it. Now, you're going to have to pay this guy because he is getting it done. He's got the size, the stature, the receptions. He plays. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He's only 25. So this guy, you're going to have to pay up for sure. But, damn, he would be a hell of a good wide receiver, and the Lions do have the money for him. He's dependable. That would make the wide receiver core ridiculous. Would the Colts give him up? I don't know. But that was a player I definitely would look at for sure. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So of all the lists Fansided did there, I'm going to say that is the number one list. Folks, what do you think about this list? What other players that would you trade for? Or are you like kind of more like me? You just wait for the NFL draft to develop. That's more my role here. I get it, though. We definitely do need some help. We got videos dropping every single day on my channel. We got the One Pride podcast tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time, Friday, Saturday video. Anytime there's breaking news, we're going to have it on here, so get ready for that. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. With that said, folks, adios.